Your life experience, good or bad, is a gift when you share it with others. At Taxi Chronicles, we allow real riders with real stories to share their gift. So hopefully this episode will intrigue, enhance or inspire you. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Morning. Yes, we're back with another episode, another rider. Today we have Michael in the house. He's a scientist, yes. And he's going to tell us what it takes to be a scientist, the best route to becoming a scientist, most affordable, of course. We don't want to be in debt nowadays unnecessarily. And we just take it from there and let the conversation flow. Yes, that typical Joe Rogan style. So nice to have you here today, Michael.
Thank you for having me, Simon.
Yes, it's all right. So tell us, when did you first, is it a scientist? Is that what you are, your profession?
Yeah, so the actual industry is research, but obviously you have to be somewhat of a scientist to be in that kind of industry. But my actual role is, so I'm lab supervisor, so I oversee all of the activity in the lab and make sure that all the experiments and research being done is going in the right direction.
Yeah, so you're the man with the big cane.
Yeah, I keep everyone in order.
Bitch, what you doing? Hey!
Exactly, yeah.
So when did you first realise that you wanted to be a scientist and why?
I was actually quite late, so I ended up working in anti-piracy at first. So I used to work for music labels.
Oh, I thought you were saying actual pirates.
No.
That's what I used to do. I used to stop the pirates from hijacking the vessels at sea.
Oh, really? Well, mine's kind of the digital version. But
go on,
so I did an IT apprenticeship, and I ended up working my first job in anti-piracy in a swanky office in London, and we got paid by Universal, Sony, and Warner. So basically, we got paid loads of money to take down the download links for albums and stuff.
So that's style.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm trying to watch that movie.
There was one site.
Do they still have those things?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Really? So we've got.
They're not doing a very good job, are they?
No. So you can't get rid of it entirely. All you can do is kind of minimise it. So the big ones is Kick-Ass Torrents and obviously Pirate Bay still kicking about.
Cinema HD, that's the one.
Yeah, so we were more music and stuff, but we obviously came across films naturally. But yeah, so that was my first job. But at the end of the day, it was all kind of data intensive, so it was quite dry. And then I'd always been interested in my own physical fitness and just sort of well-being. And then I took a real interest into nutrition. And then my sister told me that was actually a degree, and that was the actual undergraduate degree I went to go and study.
So nutrition?
Yeah.
What was the actual name of the course?
So it was actually just called Human Nutrition. It was at Kingston University. It was an undergrad.
So you could go either way with that?
Yeah. So typically people go to they kind of do a PT kind of route, or they go and do a master's and study dietetics, and become a dietitian in the NHS. But I always liked research, and then so I did my undergrad there, and then so I obviously left my anti-piracy role, so just couldn't, it's just not really interesting at all, so I did my undergrad, and then I did a placement year in genetics at St George's Hospital, and that was a tough year because I was unpaid basically, so I was kind of paid in skills and things like that. So this is becoming more and more common now with students, because obviously it's so competitive now. You have to kind of get an edge on the rest of them, so you have to try and get some experience as early as possible.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, and then and then I did my did the placement there year then, and then I went and graduated. Couldn't get a job for 6-7 months. It was really tough. And then I had someone who I'd met on placement call me. And they were basically setting up a private COVID lab, and that was my first job before I started my research in breast cancer. But I worked there for a whole year, and got even more skills. I was earning a good salary, especially during obviously the pandemic, when people were obviously being made redundant or put on furlough, and so I was actually thriving. And then I started doing a master's in breast cancer, and now I'm a supervisor at lab.
That's good. So when you said it was hard when you did that year at St George's, in what sense?
Well, it's basically I was working full time, unpaid, and I was having to work another job to obviously pay, obviously like bills, etc. And it was tough. It was I was basically was working full time with no money.
Were you in your 20s?
Yeah, early 20s.
See, the way I look at that, and I don't know your personal circumstances, but this is what I tell people, especially the younger people, is you go to school for, I don't know, 14 years or 16 years, whatever it is, and no one pays you a penny. Your mum and dad feed you. So ideally, carrying on, doing a year for nothing, shouldn't be a problem. Unless your personal circumstances are like your parents say, now you've got to support yourself.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That is true, but I think the issue with that is that the problem is when it, like, especially I've noticed this in science and kind of like academia kind of area, by the time you get to, like, for instance, when I get to 30, everybody's in a different position. So some people are further in terms of, they've got a deposit on a house, they've got a family, they've got this, etc. The problem with my kind of industry is you spend so much time, studying and doing all these things that obviously don't amount to kind of any money, which obviously you don't get into it for that, but it does set you back, so just having something to help kind of keep you going would help. But yeah, no, I do completely understand what you're saying. It doesn't really make that much of a difference unless obviously you got 10 kids and you're like 21 and you got like a flat and but yeah.
So, well, what have you learned? Sorry, all the courses you've done, have they all been relevant for you to be for your position that you're in today, or is there a more effective, cost-effective way?
So if you wanted to be a nutritionist, you don't actually have to do an undergrad. You can do courses, like various courses, like sort of branded courses. I'm not aware of a lot of them, but there are about, and they do kind of hold the same weight. The only thing you can't be is like a dietitian, because that's a registered title. So you would, so you can't do no quick course or anything like that. And to be honest, if you were interested in research or anything like that, I would advise to study something like biomedical science or genetics, or basically try and get as close to the field you're interested in as possible. My way, I've kind of made it just because I've got I talk to everyone, I make loads of contacts. Like that placement year, I spent unpaid. I just spent all my time going to conferences and talking to people in different departments and
really networking.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So, and my undergrad is a bit odd. Most people have got biomedical science or genetics, etc. But yeah, so.
What kind of personality do you need to have to do your job?
Ooh, it's a good one. I would say you'd have to be quite sociable, outgoing, unless of course you're like super smart, and then but then even then I suppose unless you're selling or like starting a product, or you still have to kind of sell it, but yeah, you definitely have to be quite sociable, because you're going to be meeting different people all the time, especially if you work in the private industry, because you'll be talking to CEOs and people with money who don't understand the science, and you have to be able to translate it.
I never thought of that.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
Jurassic Park. Was it Jurassic Park? There's some other films as well, where you got the kind of geeky scientist guy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
You got the CEO who's saying.
Yeah, just shout at him. Yeah, that's literally it sometimes.
How do you deal with those kind of CEO people?
Well, to be honest with you, a lot of the times it's you kind of have to meet them halfway. So you have to basically try and convince them that they are still getting what they want, even though they kind of aren't. So you found you've kind of met them in the middle. You've sort of compromised. So like, for instance, at the moment, like they're bringing the deadlines a lot closer, but they just have to understand it's not that simple. It's complicated for a reason.
Do you ever break it down to them in like just the raw truth?
Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah, sometimes you have to, like, if everything's coming down on you, you have to push back a little bit. And at the end of the day, like, if it's coming towards the end of a project, you know, it doesn't matter how much money they throw at someone else, they're not going to be able to get it, you know, start again and get it over the line within time.
And also, I would have thought, there's no guarantee the outcome's going to be what they want, because you're trying to find new stuff.
Yeah, exactly, and it will only bite them down the line anyway. So they may make, you know, their money right there and then, but then down the line they'll end up, you know, possibly sued or worse. So yeah, and that's the thing with, like, yeah, with medicine and things like that. It's obviously heavily regulated for a reason.
I just see myself, if I was in your position, just saying, you knew what you were getting into when you gave us the money.
Yeah, exactly.
So
yeah.
just chill.
Yeah.
Or lose what you put in.
Yeah, well, this is it. Yeah,
because
yeah.
you don't sign a contract to say you're going to give them something, do you?
No. Basically, at the end of the day, it's just like being in, like, the, you know, like, share market or something. You know, the capital is at risk all the time. Like, you're not selling T-shirts. You know what I mean? It's like, it's quite complicated and it could all fall under.
I just realised there's a money earner in your business, because if you're going to come up with something new, you could just go, yeah, we're going to get it right. We need to go and invest in this company. We're on the verge of the breakthrough, and then you'll get rich.
You can do. It depends on the setup of the company. So sometimes they can give you shares as part of, like, a bonus, or, you know, for doing well, or sometimes you can invest in it yourself.
You could do both.
Yeah, you could do both. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Go and tell that cousin or someone who's
got money.
Yeah.
And split it.
Invest, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you say you invest, and then when it's making money, then you give me a percentage of those shares.
Yeah, because I gave you the...
Yes, I gave you the tip. No, it's true, you tell them.
Unless, obviously, you hate all your family, or they're all two-faced.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, I ain't going to give you nothing next time.
Yeah, it's true.
That's the fee. Or you pay me up front.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Exactly.
You ain't getting something for nothing, I tell you that now.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the biggest thing you've learned that you wish you knew when you started?
I would say, this is going to sound stupid, my interest. So my biggest regret is I wish I didn't do any of this stuff sooner. Just because I've always been going through uni and going through my job and stuff, I've always been a bit older than everyone else. It's maybe, you know, wiser in some respects, but I wish I'd found it a bit sooner and got more interested, kind of thing, because I was never really exposed to it when I was younger. I was just sort of running around the estate being a twat, and then not really, you know, paying attention in school and things like that. But yeah, it's quite tricky. I suppose you can't really.
And the council estate shapes you.
Yeah, no, it does, and it steers you obviously kind of in the wrong direction. It's like, well, am I going to stay at home and study, or am I going to go out and
not just that,
get up to trouble?
Shapes you dealing with people in situations. So you get the public school boy who may be in the thing, and he may be well read, but he's not a very good people person.
Yeah.
Maybe okay dealing with his creed of people, but the rest of the diverse of the country, he's totally out of touch. It's like Boris.
Yeah.
Boris is a prime example. Probably good talking with his bankers who run for Oxford and Cambridge.
Yeah.
But the other people, he just doesn't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. We've had, like, a couple of people from like University of Oxford and things like that, and they are very, very intelligent. Not all of them, but some of them, the ones I've met, are very intelligent, but they're absolutely hopeless with, you know, interacting with people and, you know, interacting with potential investors, you know, things like that.
Yes, they're not the people you put in the front.
No, exactly, and like,
Go on.
And so like, just like, obviously it's hard to obviously learn your interest sooner, but, you know, growing up, I know although I've wasted a lot of time, it has helped in some sense in that I've had to deal with all kinds of characters, and I suppose you learn socially from that. But yeah, just if I could have done it a little bit sooner, I'd have been a slightly better position. But other than that, got no regrets really. And I suppose also as well, I think the biggest thing, especially with uni, is ask as many questions as possible. Because at the end of the day, you're paying, you know, loads of money. You need to make sure that, you know, the course you're doing is the thing you want to do. The amount of times I've spoken to people and they've, you know, they're like sort of halfway through their second year, they can't stand their course, and it's like, well, you're already like, you know, 9 and whatever grand in, and it's just like, well, you've got that debt now. You're not going to be able to get rid of that. And also, uni's not for everyone. Like, if unless you want to study something in healthcare, you don't necessarily need to go to uni. Like finance and business and things like that, you don't always need to go to uni.
Okay, that's what Tesla and Apple said.
Yeah.
Apple and some other companies say you don't need a degree to work for them.
No, you don't. It's only kind of really healthcare.
I'd like to think you need a degree if you're in the science.
Yeah, you need. Yeah.
But then, do you just need to have a head for science?
A lot of it, to be honest with you, a lot of it is just having the facilities at your kind of disposal. So, like for instance, with science, is like during the degree, you're learning all these research techniques and you know, ability to measure things and to do all the statistics. But at the end of the day, you have to generate the data, and that's in the lab. So unless you've got a lab at home, it's quite hard to kind of replicate that. And I said, and obviously, if you want to train to be a doctor, then obviously you have to have, you know, uninhibited study for at least, you know, 3-4 years, and then, you know, go through the proper means, because you don't want no, you know, self-proclaimed doctor handing out juju on the market. Like, you know, it's not good. But yeah, definitely other avenues.
You've been a great guest. Last question.
Go on.
What's the impact you want to have in the world?
Ooh. I would like to. I think the biggest thing I could possibly do at the moment would be to diagnose cancer sooner, much sooner, and just by doing that alone, if you can catch it early enough, you make all the treatments available just far less aggressive. And it just basically means their lifestyle is not as impacted as you would if you were to catch it at the end. And yeah, it'd just be amazing if you could catch it a lot sooner. You could literally nip it in the bud before it gets a lot worse.
From a science, I know I said last question, but
Yeah.
from a science,
Yeah.
because when you talk about cancer, it becomes
Yeah.
a whole new line of questioning. Are you a person who totally believes in synthetic medicine, or do you believe in herbal and the spiritual side of it?
Obviously I'm naturally more biased towards the science side of things, but like a lot of the herbal, like, you know, kind of area, like, you know, like a lot of plants and stuff, a lot of people don't know is that a lot of synthetic medicine is actually derived originally, like a lot of the compounds are actually found in plants. It's just that to get the therapeutic effect, you have to create it synthetically to create a greater amount of concentration. Like, for example, if you found a compound in a particular plant, the amount of that plant you would have to, like, you know, break down and concentrate to actually make it into a drug that would work. It just wouldn't be sustainable. That's why a lot of them are kind of manufactured, you know. But no, yeah, definitely, like they definitely cross like paths. Like, there's so many medicines discovered in plants and just the natural world that we don't really know on a day-to-day basis, and then obviously we synthesize them because obviously it's just cheaper and you can get a greater concentration. But yeah, I don't know, yeah, it's quite interesting. There's some definitely interesting schools of thought, especially with the herbal side of things, and I think there's a lot of undiscovered things out there. Like, we're learning loads about CBD at the moment that no one ever knew about before, and I think we're going to learn more now that it's becoming a lot more legalized across the world. But yeah.
Well, maybe people knew, but the people who, the science people didn't want to.
Well, this is it.
Power didn't want them to.
This is it. Sometimes it can be very black and white unless there's actual data, like Imperial kind of research. Then they just won't look at it or give it the time of day, and that is obviously controlled by the investors. So, you know, wherever the money is, unfortunately, that's where the research kind of is. But yeah.
It's funny you said that about synthetic, because I always thought, someone was explaining to me one time that you can't paint in things that are natural, like water, plants, things like that. So the whole concept of synthetic is I can make money now if I paint in it. I never understood or thought about the quantity that a plant produces. But then I also think like this, I don't drink coffee. So when I do drink coffee, it keeps me awake. it's really effective.
Yeah, like
I
buzzing.
don't drink tea either. I just drink hot lemon water with a slice of lemon and peppermint leaf in there. And that's what I drink in general. So what I'm thinking is probably a lot of the stuff we consume today reduces the effect of those kind of drugs when we need them. If you see what I mean.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah. It's the thing, like, you can have like an idea and a thought, and you know, at the end of the day, all it takes is someone to actually do some research on it. You might actually be onto something. It's just obviously, you know, in everyone's kind of hands. Not everyone has that capability. Because obviously it all costs money, unfortunately. But yeah, like notoriously, like loads of scientists, you know, like historically have been told, no, you're wrong, this is wrong, that's wrong, and then about 20 years later or something, they discover something amazing. And
testing period for what you do. Is there a minimum testing period considering it's going to be issued to the public?
Oh, it takes years, absolutely years, to get a drug from like just conception all the way through, you know, testing and production, etc. You're looking at like 10 years. Yeah, it takes a long time, and that's obviously for good reason.
So yeah, I agree with that, and this is why I'm reluctant. Well, I'm not interested in the whole vaccination for the COVID thing, because they didn't test on animals, and they've just jumped the gun. From what I understand, I'm not an expert, but I was like, all right, well, if you don't want to go jab yourself. I will be sitting over here eating healthy and exercising. Yeah, and things like that.
Yeah. From what I know about the vaccine and how it was developed so quickly is that they basically had kind of not like a template, but they had a vaccine ready to work for HIV, and the reason they had it, well, they were basically able to make a COVID one so quickly is they basically switched out what the vaccine was going to focus on. So instead of it being HIV, it was actually COVID. That's why they were able to do it around in 6 months. And then also, one of the other things as well is it's one of the very few instances in the world and sort of points in time where everyone was actually working on the same thing, and it was almost unlimited amounts of money. I'm not saying obviously that makes it right, or you know it's going to be good, but there's very few instances apart from, like, do you remember polio? That was something that was literally absolutely devastating for kids. It was basically causing paralysis, and that's when the March of Dimes charity came out and they raised millions, and I think they got the vaccine. I can't remember what the turnaround time was, but I think it was like a very short time, like a year or 2 years or something.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So polio was something that affected everyone, all the people all over the world, and they managed to tackle it within a couple of years.
You'll have to research about that.
Yeah, have a look. Yeah. But yeah, so it's the thing, we don't really know what we're capable of unless everyone actually works together, has, you know, unlimited funding in a sense, and I think the outcomes could be quite amazing. But no, I do agree with you. It is a very fast time.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for that, and we wish you well.
Thank you, Simon.
All right. We hope you liked that Taxi Chronicles interview. Don't forget to share and subscribe to get the latest episode. Ever considered investing in a continent with the fastest growing economies and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources. Listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m. British Standard Time.